In this lesson, we're going to talk about the GoPro on a tripod. So if you get this mount, we can fix the GoPro in its case to this tripod. And what that allows you to do is to film the GoPro on a tripod, but you can also use the tripod as a selfie stick because this tripod is really light. So I can go take it out, and one of the field tests that we do is we go out at night with this GoPro on the tripod and test it out. And the stability is pretty good, and you can also just hold it in the middle there, whatever is comfortable for you. Or you can buy one of those selfie sticks that you can use for your GoPro, and that's just a stick that you attach your GoPro to on, and it'll use a similar mount. And those are really good for selfie pictures if you want to just point it at yourself and take pictures of your friends. And the good thing about using the GoPro on these sticks is that it stabilizes the shot a lot. So that's the GoPro mount, and the selfie stick is also a similar mount that you can use to take videos of yourself. So we decided to take this setup out in the field in the streets of Taipei at 4K 24 frames per second setup. Let's go. That's become a selfie stick. Selfie stick. Are you hiding from the camera? These are some of the other mounts that you can put on the GoPro, on your helmet, on your wrists, and here's the chest mount. And of course, here's the tripod that I've converted into a selfie stick. What I learned from this field test is that the tripod as a selfie stick setup isn't too bad at all. There's a little bit of vibration. If you used a gimbal handheld mount, that would actually eliminate more of the vibration, but you would have to put more budget into it. The second thing is I was really impressed with the low light footage at the 4K 24 frames per second setup. Definitely good enough for personal use. Hi, it's Greg here. I'm wearing the GoPro head strap. I'm gonna go take it out for a test to see how the GoPro 4 performs in low light. Okay, let's go. We can immediately see that the DSLR is a better performer in low light than the GoPro 4 at this setup. But that being said, it performs a lot better than the GoPro 3. Also notice it's hard to keep my head still. Even though I'm conscious to try to keep it as still as I can, it's difficult when you're trying to walk and you're looking out for traffic. So I would say that the tripod mount is steadier than using the head mount. Also notice that there's a bit of grain and noise in the picture, but it's perfectly fine for personal use, but not good enough for professional use. Okay, so I've done 2.7K at 30 frames per second. And now I'm going to change the resolution just to HD 1080. Frames per second. Okay, as I look out for traffic at the 1080p 24 frames per second setup, to my eye, I notice that the picture appears a little bit more cleaner at nighttime. It appears to be a little bit less grain, a little less noise. We're still getting the vibration and movement from walking. Nothing has changed there. It'll be interesting to see the head mount as I ride a bike because you're not going to get that up and down movement from my footsteps. Doing a 4K 24 frame per second test now. The image on the 4K in low light isn't too bad actually. It actually performs quite well at low light. What I learned from this field test is that the head strap mount is convenient. If you were just standing in one spot and can keep your head still, I could see the appeal of it. But I would probably choose other mounts instead of the head strap mount if I was going to be walking or doing something involving movement. I might choose a suction cup mount, a tripod mount, or if I was doing skiing, I would use a mount for my helmet. Overall, I'm quite impressed with the low light performance. Before in the GoPro 3, I wouldn't even bother to bring the GoPro out at night, but with the GoPro 4, we actually get some usable personal footage that you can use for your videos. I've been testing the GoPro a lot, and one of the features I've been impressed with is the time-lapse video. I'm not talking about doing hundreds of photos and then putting them together in your video editing software to make a time-lapse video. I'm talking about making a time-lapse video right out of the camera. The GoPro camera is going to make for you, and it's ready to play. So let's go through how we do a time-lapse video with the GoPro 4. First thing we're going to have to do is make sure that you got your memory card in, of course. Okay, and a tip is to always make sure that the lens is clean and also that the window on the case is clean. Okay, and if you haven't already, turn on the Wi-Fi. And to turn on the Wi-Fi, you can press the button on the side and you'll have a flashing blue light. Okay, then on your app, what you want to do is to make sure that you've set it up for a time-lapse video. Okay, now if you hit the video button, you're going to see video, time-lapse video, and video and photo. So I'm going to go ahead and select time-lapse video. After you set that, you're going to notice that there's different options available under video settings. One example is the intervals. So I'm going to set that to 2 seconds at 4K resolution. And done. The next thing you need to do is to put your GoPro on a stable mount, like a tripod mount, frame your shot, and then hit record. You're going to get an automatic video file with the time-lapse effect. And for another interesting effect, you can do a digital zoom because this is 4K. so you have more real estate to work with. Hi everyone, I wanted to introduce you to a new technique to film an airport tour using the suction cup mount for the GoPro. Remember, it can stick to plastic. I was at the airport and I was thinking, hey, my suitcase has 4 wheels and it has a flat plastic surface large enough for me to use the suction cup mount. Sure enough, I tried it out and it worked out really good. I moved my suitcase around the airport and you can see the footage is pretty stable, pretty good. And see me going down the escalator, and this looks pretty professional. You can zoom in a little bit if you want to take the suitcase away from the frame. I just left it in there just to emphasize the point that you can use the suitcase to be a little bit more creative. The most important takeaway from this lesson is that you should be aware of what the mounts can do and always be ready and have an awareness of the things around you that you can use to film really creatively. So I hope I've given you a new idea with the suitcase technique using the suction cup mount. In this lesson, we're going to cover using a time lapse using photos, which is more of the traditional time lapse. So by going to photo mode, you can set up some of the settings under multi-shot. So the most important setting you want to do here is your interval. And once you've done that, you can frame and shoot your shot. Once you've done shooting the shot, we're going to go over to post-production, where we're going to open GoPro Studio and take a look at the photo files that it created. So when you finish your time lapse, you want to open GoPro Studio and then find your image files and drag them over to GoPro Studio. What I like about GoPro Studio is it's going to take all those files and then aggregate them, put them together into one time-lapse movie for you. And then you can name what that time-lapse is. And then there are a few options you can do here. I like to remove the fisheye effect. And then when you're done, you can add the clip to the conversion list. So this is just going to prepare the time-lapse video so it can be edited without any delays or lag. When the conversion is complete, you'll be able to click on the step 2. And we're just going to select a blank template here. And we're going to drag in the rendered time-lapse into the video editor timeline. So this is a normal playback over here. Okay, you can see it's a very short time lapse, but if I want to get a little bit more out of what I already created, what I can do is I can slow down the speed of the video. And you'll notice once I slow it down that there's a checkbox called flux that I'm able to check. So I'm going to slow down to 70% with the flux effect. Let's take a look. So it looks pretty nice. Okay, so we're going to take flux off now and play it back. You can see that it's not as smooth without the flux effect here, but we're both getting a little bit more length out of the clip now that we slowed it down to 70%. So the next step is we're just going to go ahead and save the project just in case something happens. and then we're gonna name the file. So first we're gonna name the project. Before I export, I wanted to apply a color preset. So it's a little bit tricky actually to display them all. But if you go into the bottom right hand corner, you can see me struggling to pull it up. I wish GoPro would make that a little bit more easier to access. But anyhow, it's in the bottom right hand corner and you can click and pull that all up so you can see all the color presets. So you just simply click on any of those presets and then you can see what it looks like in the main window there. Okay, so now that I've applied my effect, I'm ready to go to step 3 and export my video. So I'm just going to find an area that I want to save the file. Okay, I'm going to call it timelapse maker. And I'm going to save it as a custom file because I want a little bit more flexibility into the video file that I'm creating. My first time exporting using Flux actually crashed GoPro Studio. The second time it worked, but I had to wait around 20 minutes for a 9-second video. But take a look at the results. It actually reminds me of a superhero movie where you've got the trail and you can see it's a lot smoother. Compare this to the regular time-lapse video and you can see the difference. Let's take a look at it one more time side by side.
No.